Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Good morning to each and every single one of you. Bruno Fernandes has come out today and slammed the Ollie out mob, the Ollie out brigade. He has gone for the mainstream British media, and I quote, "Do not use my name. Do not use my colleagues or the coach to make trouble at Manchester United." The players push back. Somebody finally comes out and defends Ole Gunnar Solskjaer during what was undoubtedly tough times for Man United. Let's not get twisted about that. Time is not good. The board are throwing Ole under a bus, and I'm so proud to see a player come out. And do you know what? He might be losing faith. He might be frustrated with the tactics. Some of what's been said is evidently true, but I love the fact that the man has come out and defended his position, explained that there's a good harmony and there's a good atmosphere within that dressing room, and that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the target of the players. And I think it's really positive ahead of this weekend's football to see. If you're an Ole outer, what do you make of Bruno Fernandes' comments? That's what I want to know from you this morning. Skype lines are open, but before we go to any calls, we're going to delve into your chats a little bit more, but smash that like button for us, please. We want to go past the 1,000 like mark on every single video we do, and we really need your help in doing that. So let's take a moment, hit the like button, and please share this stream now with as many people as possible. That'd be amazing for us if you could get that done. It really, really would. I know a lot of people want to talk about Harry Maguire. We're going to feature that on a different show later today. We have a big Liverpool-Everton preview show for you later on today. We may have actually lost one of our guests. We're going to try and find some more for you this afternoon. But here we go. Let's look at some of your early comments here from some of you in the comment section. A lot of people actually talk about Maguire. It's just funny with rival fans, isn't it? Yesterday, the talk was all about Bruno. Bruno comes out today and says something positive about United, and now you want to all talk about Harry Maguire. We're going to do a video on Harry Maguire a little bit later. I've got some thoughts and feelings in relation to that. And essentially, the man needs protecting, is all I'm going to say. Because although people say things like, well, David Luiz gets more stick, and what if it was Pogba? I can't remember the last time those guys were accused of a crime they didn't commit, facing criminal records, facing jail times, and had pretty much a whole country judiciary system lie about them. That kind of pressure, if you can show me where that's happened, then I'll take my words away. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I want to know your thoughts on what Bruno Fernandes has had to say today. A comment here. Okay, that's a weird comment. Charles here says, good morning, great news to hear. As a Liverpool fan, I'm delighted that Ollie has got the backing of Bruno. Hopefully the board will give him the extended deal. Ollie, hashtag Ollie in, hashtag Ollie at the wheel. Comment here says, fake PR. Bruno isn't happy with Maguire or Lindelof. We got video. What have you got video of? You got definitely of the Lindegaard clash, but players shout at each other. I think people are being slightly hyperbolic with that. Let's go through the actual comments that were said. So this is what Bruno Fernandes said last night. This one media outlet even put in the laughter. I love this. Starts off with laughter. He goes, there's been a lot of speculation about that when asked about the spat between him and Ollie. He laughed. So imagine this. The journalist says to him, tell us about the problems that you're having at Man United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the fight, losing faith, rare. Bruno's first reaction is, ha, 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 ha. Laughed at you, bruv. Laughed at you. He goes, there's been a lot of speculation about that. First, it was the discussion with the teammates, as I did not stick. It was a discussion with only one player partner, Lindelof. So firstly, he's had no fight with Harry Maguire. That is done. That is dead. That is buried. No fight with Harry Maguire. All the Ollie outers, all of the xenophobes and the haters of Harry Maguire, no spat between him and Bruno Fernandes. That will be shut down every single time it's mentioned. It goes, as I did not say it now, it goes, there was a discussion with Solskjaer. I believe it was I believe what you're trying to do is to try and destabilize the group. What has been said is in no way true. So there has been no spat between him and the manager at all. He says, I was replaced at halftime. This is true. But for a technical reason, the coach told me that the game was almost over. Of course, 4-1 down to 10 men. He said, and that we would have a lot of games ahead of us. I got it. I was not satisfied, but said nothing that could harm the group. Bruno guaranteed this to the journalist, said this with passion, said this with vigor. Because at the end of the game, the coach sent me a message to wish me good luck with the international team. And I wanted, and if I wanted to have a word of support, then I could contact him. We spoke at the end of the message, and I'm just grateful to have a coach who bets on me with these tactics, and whose tactics are perfect for me. He said that, it says here, he stressed and shouted. Shooted. He says, do not use my name, my colleagues, or my coach to make trouble at Manchester United, because the atmosphere is good and the team is ready to give an answer in the next game. That's amazing comments. And you know what? Even if Ollie is still on his way out, which I still think the board are trying to do, if we don't see player power take precedent this time and become a prevalent part of the dressing room, I'm going to be a happy Manchester United fan, no doubt about that whatsoever. Dwayne Anderson here, one of our members, says the media, as always, looking for an excuse to ridicule Manchester United. And look, they're doing their articles on it today, but it won't be talking points in the media. Now, I'm doing a video on it because we report on everything that comes out. So whether it's negative or positive, we do videos on it, on the biggest news stories of the day, and we give you the opportunity to have your say on it. You'll see this buried by a lot of people. These comments get buried. Even on newspapers that have paywalls, this story is not even on their paywall, bruv. It's not under their paywall. It's part of their free content, which means it's going to be buried very, very, very quickly amongst everything else they publish today. It's as simple as that. Comment here says, you think Bruno would admit if there was a fight? When was the last time Ollie made a sub at half-time? When was the last time Man United were down to 10 men and down 4-1 at half-time? That's context, my brother, context. The interesting thing about that is that when it's negative things about Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and the players or managers or clubs shut it down, people like yourself saying, see, told you it's all fake. When it's Man United, it's all to be believed. Your hypocrisy stinks, brother. It stinks. I can smell the bullshit from it. Yeah, bruv. Honestly. It's like rank morning breath, bruv. Can smell that. I did joking. Thank you very much for the comment. Bruno in the 8 gives him the armband. Take it off. Why do people keep talking about taking the armband off Maguire? Come on, Indiana. That is not going to help Maguire and his confidence. You don't need to wear the armband to be a leader. I think we're reading too much into these things, man. I think we really, really are reading too much into the need to do this kind of thing. I think anyway. That's how I feel about it. Oh, that isn't what I meant to do. Nor is that. That's a bit of a close up. Hey, people. Good morning. I didn't want to do that. I pressed the wrong button here. There we go. Let's do some more of these comments here. United fans, after seeing Maguire, the reboot sent off yesterday. I don't really get it. The Maguire stuff's amazing this morning, isn't it? Why? Let's talk. We're here to talk Bruno. Let's talk Bruno. Come on, rivals. What you got to say about Bruno's comments, you little piss ants? You ain't got no smoke here. Let's change the subject because we're being told something we don't want to hear. Weak. You weak, pathetic swines. That's what you are. Weakness of you. We're not even here to talk about that. And I know you talk about a negative. Let's not talk about a positive. I see you, bro. I see you. You got nothing for us here. Indiana says, not as a punishment. I don't think the pressure is doing him any good. The problem is if you take it away from him like that, the rivals and the media will spin it into another negative and apply more pressure. It won't work. It genuinely won't work. And that's the problem with it. It's Maguire. I told you already, man. Harry Maguire is done at Manchester United. And this isn't a hyperbolic attack. Did the video last week and I stand by it. He is absolutely finished, categorically finished as a Man United player. Whatever now happens, he's written off. If he gets rested, it'll be twisted into a negative. If he's dropped, negative. Armband gone, negative. If he comes out in the midst that he's struggling, it'll be twisted into an everything is going to be from here on in a negative. Oh, sorry, I made my camera move. Everything from here on in, excuse me, people, is going to be a negative in relation to Harry Maguire. That's it. Point blank forever will be a negative. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Terry, United will always be hated. Take it as a compliment. I do, bro. And if people can't take the banter back in the other direction, there we go. I'm no longer reading any comments out today about Maguire because we're not here to talk about Maguire. We can do that. We're going to do a Maguire show later. You can save it for then. A comment here from Morn Peters says, just get behind our team. Bruno is passionate about United and he reflects that on and off the pitch. Much respect to him. I hear that completely. Skype lines are open. If you want to give us a call right now, please feel free to do so. We're going to start taking your calls now after doing these comments. But to reiterate and quote Bruno Fernandes, do not use my name, do not use my colleagues' names to make problems at Manchester United. The Ollie out mob have been shut down. The Ollie out mob have been ridiculed. The Ollie out mob are in the mud this morning. Josh is now on the line with us. Josh, what do you make of Bruno Fernandes' comments?
Mate, I've got 2 points on that. I think first and foremost, it's just a makeup of who Bruno is on and off the pitch. Like, he came to United saying he wants to win trophies. He's like this in the Portugal team. He was like that at Lisbon. When he first came in, he's telling Wan-Bissaka where to run, James where to run, getting pissed off that people weren't doing the runs where he wanted them to pass it to. And like, for him to go in at halftime and was quoted as saying, we're Manchester United, this shouldn't be happening. I completely think that side of things completely true. I mean, that does not surprise me. I'm not even pissed off about that, to be honest. But I question whether he went off at Ollie. He might have maybe said a word or two out of frustration. But, I mean, he came out and backed his manager, which shows he's not only competitive, but the consummate professional as well. He's not going to throw anyone under the bus at the club or in the coaching staff. Yeah. I think it's pretty spot on, and I'm not pissed off either way, to be honest. I think it's just who he is and what he does.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's nice is that, I was saying this the other day about, I'm getting a lot of feedback you're in, bro. I'm not sure what that is. Can you just mute your line for me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I'm getting a lot of feedback from your line. Sorry. I think what was frustrating me is how there was all this talk about problems in the dressing room, conversations with Potts, conversations with Nagelsmann, 5 games to save Ollie's job. And for 10 days, everybody at Manchester United has been absolutely silent about it. And that's always the concern for me. That because everybody's being silent about it, that means something behind the scenes is happening, something's brewing, something's coming, something is going to come out and it's going to be detrimental to the group, detrimental to the team, and of course detrimental to Ollie. And like I've said all along, sacking Ollie isn't going to solve our problems. We may get in the short term some slightly better or some dramatically better football, but that isn't going to save Manchester United Football Club. It simply isn't. And it's really nice and it's really refreshing to see Bruno Fernandes come out and shut down the Ollie out mob, because the Ollie out mob are poisonous rat cretin vermin is what they are. They're vermin. They're vermin. That's all they are as people. There's nothing good about them. They spread disease. They spread problems. They're just nasty. And what we need, what he's done today, basically, he's put down some rat traps. And this morning you've come out and you've all been caught, and they're all like flicking around in pain with their arms and necks and towels caught in these traps. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. Josh, thank you very much for your call. We really appreciate it. Skype lines are still open. If you guys want to call in, have your say. Man like Mo, I know we missed a call from you. Feel free to call back. Gregory here, a super chat, says Bruno should undoubtedly be captain. Again, I don't really care about stuff like that, man. I'm not that bothered about who is and who isn't the captain of Manchester United as such. That really isn't my focus here. My focus is very much on the club having multiple leaders in the team at the same time. It really, really is. A comment here from Angela says, I love that he shut it down and was looking at Twitter and looking at a Twitter break because the Ollie outers were getting me down. This is a breath of fresh air. And I agree. It's good that someone's come out and at least backed Ollie in this situation. Man like Mo is with us. Man like Mo, what do you make of Bruno Fernandes' comments shutting down the media and shutting down the Ollie hate mob?
It just got all to do with people don't like Ollie. You understand? That's why it's going to be so stuff like that is going to get people like upset. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, like Ollie in fans, are like upset about it because obviously Ollie out are going to say stuff like that because they don't like Ollie. But I don't think it's all bullshit, really, man. Sorry about the language, but I think it's all nonsense. So I don't believe in none of that. You know what I mean? Unless it actually comes out of his mouth. You understand?
Yeah, and look, sometimes things get to it. I remember Mario Balotelli having a fight that was caught on camera with a teammate in training, and everybody lost their mind. Oh my God, look how unprofessional he is. Look how how he doesn't care. That was the narrative. And then you had all these professional footballers coming out saying, it's quite normal. This happens weekly at football training where teammates clash and fight and argue. It was just unfortunate in this instance that there were cameras there, but this is very normal. What's interesting about this reported argument is that people are making it seem that, and we were presented with these things, the players are losing faith with the manager. What's been interesting is not one pro footballer has come out and said, well, when teams get a first half battering, it's quite normal for there to be a lot of heated words between manager and coach, between players. This is a normal reaction, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative towards Ollie. And this is the thing: it's no one's coming out and saying that, which is what. Other than the fact I heard one pro footballer who played for a top manager in the Premier League and won Premier League titles, and he said his team have gone in at half time before losing 1-0. And everyone's been shouting at each other and calling each other out, including the manager, telling him things that should be changed. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, isn't this not a normal thing that happened? And if it is,
listen, believe this, Terry.
Yeah.
Watch this. Yeah, this is what's going to happen. If Poch is our manager, guarantee you, it's guaranteed 100%. Yeah, 1,000,000,000%. They're gonna call for his head if things go wrong. I'm not gonna mention names. I know who they are. They'll call for his head. Few bad results, they'll say, "Oh, Poch out." How many managers are we gonna sack? Chelsea could sack managers. Like I said, they could sack managers because they got a structure. What do we have? We have a clown who thinks about business more than winning. This is the trying to say. I'll back any manager who's got a philosophy. Yeah, but I just do not trust these clowns to back him. It happened. It happened on the Van Gaal. It happened on the Jose. And it happened on the Oli. So the same thing's gonna happen. We're gonna end up with our 10th manager in 2030 or 20th manager in 2030. God knows.
Mate,
I'm coming from.
Mate, no, I hear that completely. And you know what's interesting? If this also happened under another manager that people loved and respected, you would see a different tune from the Ollie Outers. The Ollie Outers would be saying, look at that. Look at the passion that the manager has installed in the players where they feel free and they feel empowered to challenge one another. That's how it'd be twisted and spun. Z's on the line with a Z. We spoke yesterday about reports that Bruno had lost faith in the manager. Yeah. Bruno has come out today, educated us all, shut us down, and said, absolutely do not use my name to cause trouble at the football club. Ollie out mob are in the mud. The media this morning are in the mud. What's your opinions on that, bro?
That's my captain, mate. I've been saying Bruno for captain. Bruno reminds me of Ander Herrera. And I think a lot of United fans didn't appreciate Ander Herrera as much because I see a player in Bruno that plays for the badge, and it's delightful, so refreshing to see. Everyone talks about he loses the ball too much, he misplaces his passes and everything. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I want someone that's bleeding for the badge, and this guy looks like he's ready to bleed for the badge. But one point I want to pick up on, is it Mo that's on the line?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said Chelsea. They got a structure. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna ask you a question because I was speaking to my friend yesterday. For example, Partey said he didn't want to go to a big club, right? He rejected Chelsea in order to go to Arsenal. Would you say Chelsea's success has been kind of pushed down a bit because of the simple fact that they've had so many managers? People only talk about their period between success which they had during the time Mourinho was there. They don't really talk about anything else, and obviously the Champions League, but they don't really talk about the other managers that have won the title because they haven't really got that great culture going there. But I wouldn't want to be a Chelsea if you get what I mean.
I know what you mean, but I don't want to be Woodward either because I run. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? So who is it? This is going to continue. Nothing's going to change. We'll be sacking managers for the next 5-6 years, maybe 10, make it 20 years if they're still here.
I agree. Like I said yesterday already. I just think that a lot of people are trying to capitalize off all these people that they flip flop so much. I saw the other day. I'm not going to call no names, but I saw the other day people bringing out stats about because of what Paul Scholes said about Anthony Martial, but people don't want to bring up stats like Terry did for Harry Maguire. So it's like that's all bad.
Bro, it's mad. Like I criticized Maguire last night. I thought if we look at the game, both his tackles last night were unprofessional and silly, and he didn't even need to lunge in like that on either of them. There was cover. They were silly. They were mistakes. What's frustrating me about the Maguire situation is, and we're going to do a full video on it later, but he has gone through a really tough summer where, as far as he is concerned, he has been attacked in the street and then wrongfully accused of multiple crimes that people suddenly, I would say 50% of Man United fans and all rivals suddenly believe police, which I find amazing that we spent a whole summer saying how bad police officers were. Suddenly, the police forces are to be completely believed, and like he's guilty. So he is, in his eyes, been wrongfully accused and convicted of a crime. His sister was attacked and nobody seems to care. He is then getting abuse for him actually defending himself got him abuse, which I find strange. That coupled into the fact that Man United fans are unhappy with the club, with Ollie, he is going through all types of levels of kind of abuse and scrutiny, and yet people want to continue to stick the knife in and twist things. And I saw a journalist last night, right? And I had to call him out on this. He ain't going to come back to me because I'm an absolute nobody to this guy. But his tweet said, Harry Maguire's performance, generally one of the worst I've seen in an England shirt, scarily bad. I mean, already hyperbolic, overreaction. He says that excellent for Leicester, adequate for Man United last season, beyond awful so far this season. Looks totally fazed by whatever happened in Mykonos, needs a break. Like, totally fazed by whatever happened. Like, you're just playing that down. And I'm like, what do you mean he was adequate for Man United, right? I said he definitely needs to be dropped and taken out of the limelight. There's no doubt about it. He is in awful form. I'm not going to defend that. So, but he was excellent for us last year. Circle of 40% improvement in all defensive areas for Man United, including 100% more clean sheets and 40% less goals conceded when compared to the previous campaign. And the irony in that, and this is what the Ollie out mob hate. They don't think AWB is good enough, and they don't think that Maguire is good enough, and they also don't think there's any system, style, or pattern to Man United's play. But they can't explain the dramatic improvement in our defensive record. Now, the start of this season is music to their ears. They go, see, flash. The whole season's not in a flash in the pan. The whole season it was working well, and it started badly so far this season, right? But there's also a precedent, and there's also examples to take from other top teams, much better teams than us, having all full defensive starts of the season as well, especially ones that didn't have pre-seasons as an example. But as you say, people love to pick and choose. I use stats all the time, and everybody knows that. I'm an outputs guy. But I love how people try to discredit some stats, but then totally back others when it suits. They do it with Paul Pogba. And I love Paul Pogba and defend him. But when people say, what's he ever done for us? They throw in the season where he was number one in all those different metrics for the club. Best goal scorer, best assister, best this, best that. So, yeah, but I thought that stats didn't matter. I thought stats didn't matter. Like, they either matter or they don't matter. But they and that's why the Ollie out mob, we all know, like they get a lot of traction, but it's because we're all laughing at them. We're all laughing at how stupid, how pathetic, and how ratty they are. They're vermin, bro. But it's just it's like, imagine this. Imagine I said to you, right, guys, come with me. It's free of charge to watch it. Do you want to see some rats dance and sing and do the trapeze? Do you want to see it? Let's go watch the rats perform. Like, it's amazing. Look, that rat's wearing a dress, bruv. That rat's wearing a hat. That rat's doing the moonwalk. That's how I look at this. Rats, bruv. Rats.
Listen, like I said to someone yesterday, I just feel that, like I said, I don't want to call names, but I just feel that a lot of people are trying to, no disrespect to Arsenal Fan TV, but a lot of people are trying to copy the blueprint. Like, I think everyone can hold their hands up and say, I'm not discrediting the work rate, but we started watching Arsenal Fan TV originally because of Arsenal losing. You get what I mean? We started watching it because of Arsenal losing. Then after, you start getting into the characters and start enjoying the content that they've got to display. And obviously you start to see fans with a real voice. But original reason why a lot of people took interest in watching that show was because of them losing. And I think a lot of United fans who are starting this Ollie out bandwagon are doing this, trying to start the same blueprint. And my thing is, if you keep protecting your favourites, and after the final, like for example, you're saying Martial, you're saying Martial, oh, he is a number 9. What Paul Scholes was saying was crap, was garbage. But then after, the simple fact of the matter is, with Martial, he had his best season last season, and who's that down to? Ollie. But yet you're Ollie out. Bruno.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Bruno wouldn't. I can guarantee you, right? If Pogba had a great season last season, and Bruno had a better after lockdown, right? And Pogba, they wouldn't be. I think it's just the simple fact that Bruno's outshining Pogba, and Pogba's a lot of fan favourites. That's why people got an agenda against Bruno. That's my thing.
Exactly.
Mate, you're absolutely right when you say that, and I think it's interesting because, like, I don't like the Ollie in mob either, in terms of the ones who won't allow any criticism of the manager or any kind
100%.
because they're both as toxic, and as I say, that they're both ratty. And when I call them rats, I'm talking about the fact that the Pied Piper sings him a tune and they dance. That's the reference to rats when it comes to these people. And I think for me, it's they manipulate everything they use and are open-minded. And if they get something disproven to them, they don't come out and say, do you know what? I got that bit wrong. There's always a new excuse. There's a comment here from Just Looking, one of my members, is you use stats incorrectly a lot though, Terry. It actually stresses me out sometimes as someone who works with data. Well, bro, if I do, it's cool. Listen, I'm not precious about things like that. If I do, phone the show without being disrespectful, come educate me. That's the whole point of the Football Terrace, is if you know something I don't, come on and tell us, educate us, and we all learn together. It's like what It's like what we've done on here before when it comes to the financial elements. I know people don't like the fact that I've explained to you personally and had professionals on it to show you that net spend isn't real. But would you not rather be informed and do it correctly? So if I'm using a stat wrong, inform me, educate me, and I'll use it better moving forward. He's a member, so he pays. So I respect that. I'm talking genuine. If I've got a fact wrong, come and tell me. Don't come on and do it in a disrespectful way, because man will shut you down quick. But at the same time, it's like we're here to talk to you. And that's the bit that I don't like about Ollie inners, Ollie outers, or any kind of polarized group, is they will not listen. We did the Thomas Partey story the other morning, and we presented it from both sides, because I was hella confused, because one set of media outlets were saying that he was ridiculing Arsenal. The other half was saying that he rejected Chelsea and was back in Arsenal. I didn't really know. So I did a video and presented both sides of the story, let fans debate it. And now I've actually seen the actual video footage of Partey's father speaking. And you can clearly see it's very, very, very positive towards Arsenal. And it's like, there's no shadow of a doubt. You can tell by the way he talks, tone, everything. And that's the thing for me, which I find really interesting, is that with the Ollie out mob, though, is that every improvement, and we had Culture Cam on, who's very good, he, in a sense of he articulated himself brilliantly and applied a lot of balance to his opinion around things that Ollie has done to improve the team. But it must also stick in the back of Ollie outers that their two favorite players have had their most consistent times, and the team's had their best run.
What annoys me, Tel?
Is 7 years under Ollie. It must grate them. It must grate them deeply.
Terry.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what annoys me? Yeah. They will praise the players, but they'll never praise the manager. Now, if you spoke about that many, many times, I just want to remember, why don't they ever criticize their favorites? Pogba doesn't get criticized by Rams, for example. Why would never criticize Pogba? Harry Maguire doesn't get criticized by Said. These are the things, like they'll criticize Ollie if he does something wrong, but they won't criticize the players. This is the problem.
Yeah, I can't speak for them individually. All I would say is this. It's like we've seen yesterday. I put that little clip out, and I baited so many people yesterday with I don't know, it's done about 2,000 or so retweets now. I might just retweet it again today just to get more people. Actually, 2,000. Well, 2,000 likes, a few hundred retweets as an example, where I said no systems, no stars, no patterns. You guys may or may not have seen it. the irony is the amount of people. Aaron, man like Aaron, good friend of mine. You know, one of our presenters, basically saying, just think it's individual moments of brilliance. What I can guarantee, and let me say this now, down the lens of the camera, when we score those kind of goals under Nagelsmann or Poch, the people now saying that it's individual moments of brilliance, but we need a better coach to make it more frequent. When we score those goals, they of course will praise the Greenwoods and the Marshalls for the play, but it will be presented and framed as, see what good coaching does. And you'll see it instantly. If Poch comes in within 2 or 3 games, we score 2 or 3 really good team goals, it'll be, see, that's what he's brought to us. They'll ignore the fact that out of the 130 odd goals we've scored under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, about 30% of them have been team goals where there's been patterns of play leading to it. And there's a statistic I was looking at the other day. They love stats around patterns of play leading to goal scoring opportunities. The only 2 teams in the Premier League that are better than Man United, and they average about 1.5 to 2 additional to us per game over the last 2 years. I know I had 3 up 2 years, is City and Liverpool. Every other team we're pretty much on a ballpark with in terms of patterns of play leading to goal scoring opportunities. So that means one of 2 things to me statistically, and just looking, I may get this wrong, but it's my interpretation. So if I'm wrong, educate me. That either means the patterns of play are there and we're ignoring them and we're on par with all the other top sides, or we have no patterns of play, but our players are so brilliant that we manage to freestyle the same amount as everybody else each game. Now, if it's the latter, like you say, and we suddenly get in a new manager who's brilliant, we should then outstrip instantly. With Poch in, we should then be doing more patterns of play leading to goal scoring opportunities than any other team in the Premier League, because our players have the ability, without a system and without coaching, to be almost on par with them anyway. Do you get where I'm coming? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it won't. We will be about the same as those teams, and then they'll have no way to get out of it. The facts don't care about your feelings. You know, if you can show me that Maguire, over a body of time, loses significantly more defensive duels, aerial challenges, tackles, does far less interceptions, makes far more errors leading to goals, gets turned and dribbled past more than his counterparts in European football on a regular. And I'm not talking show me 10 video clips. You have to show me that that is significantly worse than his counterparts in that position. Then I'll back down and say, yeah, he's not an elite level defender. The facts of the matter are, because we've made videos on it that did get taken down for copyright issues, but we did it, that he's much of a muchness on the elite scale. But the point is, you'd like, if I ignore everybody else that's making those mistakes and just pretend that it's Maguire, we create that problem. It's so transparent. These people are windows, bro. I can see into their soul. It's so transparent.
That's the thing. I would definitely agree. I think when I'm looking at, one thing is with why when you look at the Ole in and Ole out debate, you've got to look at both sides of the coin, right?
Yeah.
With Ole, I'm thinking to myself, when I'm saying Ole out, I'm not saying I'm Ole out. I'm Ole in, but because I want the best for United. That's the difference with me and other people. But if someone said to me, "Why would you want Ole out?" Simple fact: the decision making during the games, you know, not making substitutes early enough, you know, consistent faith in certain players like Maguire when he's having a bad patch, you know, even Martial certain times, Rashford, for example, you know, Bruno early parts of the season, for example. So it's, you know, some of the tactical situations, but then I can't ignore what he has done. He got us third when no one else expected it. And let's be honest, when we got third, you're thinking PR was out there, United will have the money to take advantage of the COVID situation. I've got rival friends who were scared. They were thinking, oh God, Sancho's coming in, this player's coming in, Grealish will be coming in, and everything. Everyone was frightened because they thought to themselves, you know what, United's actually going to be a threat next season if they get these targets, because they got third place and got Champions League.
Yep.
It's, you know, it's hard to, so he hasn't got his targets. And then after Super Bowl, like 3 games in Ole out. It's like, you know, what more do you want? But you've got someone like Pep who had spent over $1 billion, hasn't won the Champions League with City. He's still in. Klopp had them patience, a lot of patience, and look what he's turned Liverpool. He's had a bad start, and after now why are people not questioning Van Dijk's defense? He's made the most mistakes since lockdown, since the season resumed last year, early this year. So you got that situation. Trent Alexander, people always talk about, he's great going forward, but let's be honest, defending he's bad. But Wan-Bissaka gets it. He can't go forward, but defensively, he's way better than Trent. And the way Trent gets beat, it's not happening with Wan-Bissaka. So, it's so crazy when people want to compare certain players to other players and after compare our managers to other managers. But when you ain't got no argument, you're still saying Oli out. It don't make no sense.
Do you know what the most interesting thing for me was? All of last season, I barely saw an individual speak about Delo, wanting Delo in the team, wanting Delo involved, wanting Delo around. Delo was just never mentioned. As soon as it came on top for AWB and he had a few poor games, suddenly, as if by magic, there was this, Delo's our best fullback. Delo's this, Delo's that. And now, the rumors come out, Everton were looking at bringing him in, but United said, no, see, Ancelotti has made Everton the best team in the league this season. Ancelotti wanted him. That means he's better than AWB. Ollie's stupid. And, you're like, bruv, but you're just Johnny come lately on this, because right now, at this particular moment in time, AWB's had a few bad games and it's fashionable to be upon his back. And the irony is that football goes in cycles, and we've seen this right now. What teams at this moment are doing well in the Premier League, in terms of what seems to be working well, is a pragmatist approach, where you're not gun-ho, you're not full. Even with Everton this season, I wouldn't say they haven't really played any big teams yet. They played Spurs early on, they kind of did it. But there's been no team that's gone gun-ho and is free-flowing attacking has started particularly well this season, or they've been patchy. But Arsenal are getting a lot of praise, and they've been very close shop. They've been very pragmatic, as an example. Someone's making a lot of noise there, whatever they're doing. It's etc. Football goes in cycles. We may now go for a period in football where pragmatism becomes the how do I want to say this? Becomes the flavor again. And we've gone for a little period where attacking fullbacks have been imperative to teams. But it is likely that we could hit a 2-3 year period where defensive fullbacks are needed more than attacking fullbacks based on the systems. And we see this happen every 3 or 4 years. There's a style and there's a system that works and it rips people apart, and then it goes away again. I know that it's about the personnel that are doing it, but look when tiki-taka was at its best between sort of 2006 and 2011. You couldn't get near it. But suddenly, no one really plays tiki-taka anymore. Why? Because a new system comes in that beats it, and then a system comes in that beats that, and then a system comes in that beats that. And by the way, it will come back. It goes full circle. A new system will be used in time, but things just go through cycles. 2 years ago, football hipsters said pragmatism is done. It's dead in football. It's all about being free-flowing, open, attacking. That's the new way. Within 2 years, everyone's going, you know what? I think pragmatism's coming back. Why? Because teams get used to playing free-flowing and attacking, and less teams play pragmatically. And then people, it's like they forget. It's almost like, I forgot how to play against a pragmatic team. And suddenly somebody comes in and they're very well drilled at doing it, and it works for them. And then loads of teams start doing it, and then everybody works out how to break that system down and say, right, we've got to change now because it isn't working in this particular moment. And that's what happens all the time. If you watch football as long as I have, and the older generation get this more, it's harder for the younger generation because you've only seen 1 or 2 cycles of styles that are successful. When you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60, you've seen this so many times that you understand it, because it's about knowledge, and knowledge is power in these situations. And I just think the whole thing, and it doesn't mean Ollie is good enough to make us top, but this notion of got to get rid of AWB because he's not an amazing attacker. Yeah, but do you know how good he is at defending? How dumb will we feel in 18 months if defensive fullbacks become the rage again because they're needed for the systems that managers want to employ, and we suddenly have 2 fullbacks who are amazing at going forward but can't really defend? I mean, look at the England system. Reece James is probably going to find himself the England fullback moving forward, although he did get sent off in the other game, because it looks like Gareth Southgate's system, it doesn't allow for the defensive frailties of Trent. But yet with Reece James, because he's competent in both areas, it's like, oh, actually, this could be the option for us. That's because that team has got a different style to Liverpool. If England played with Liverpool style, Trent would be perfect for it. but the defensive elements of Trent are not strong enough for Gareth Southgate. And who knows who's going to be the next manager of Liverpool? Maybe the next manager of Liverpool has a system that requires a more defensive-minded fullback. That could be the end of Trent there because his skill set may not be good enough for that. And that isn't because Trent's a bad player, but it's horses for courses. And it isn't our system player. No, it's about skill set. Now, if you're a team that doesn't use a target man, you get the world's best target man. He isn't going to be good for your system. If you have a traditional right-sided winger that hugs a touchline, but your system needs inverted inside forwards who love to use their left foots rather than their strong foot on the right side, they're not going to be good for your system. Doesn't mean they're a bad player. Horses for courses, man. I just don't understand why football fans find this such a difficult notion to conceive. I really don't. Prime's with us. What you saying, Prime?
Yeah, what's good, everyone? The whole thing with Bruno, I respect what he did. He comes out and, I mean, let's say there is a bit of a problem between him and Ollie. Having that out there in the media and in the public doesn't help things. So for him shutting it down quickly and saying, it's all good, there's not a problem, yada, 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 I back that. Because that's what you want your players to do, to act and behave professionally in public.
Mm. Yeah, listen, 110% agree with you on that. Even if he has got problems with what Ollie's doing, I still want to see, as you've just said, a positive approach and things being shut down in the media, because you need to have on the large part a united front in relation to that. You really, really do. You need to have that done massively. Comment here from Itis saying, please explain to me the pattern in that play that you post, Terry, and what instruction Ollie gave to get the goal. I'm interested. Well, in terms of the actual moment that the goal's being scored, probably zero instruction in the moment. Like, he wasn't sitting on the touch line, like controlling them like puppets. If we look at the goal when it starts here, there's two little bits, right? So what you actually see in this moment is you see I can't actually play that because the sound's going to be on there. You see a ball played in to, I think I'm going to put this in big so I can see it and then make sure that the sound's not right. So you see the ball's played in here to Greenwood. Now Greenwood has the ball. You then see this is the pattern of the play here. So you've got AWB on the right hand side who is hugging that touchline. Okay, first and foremost, Pogba plays the pass into Greenwood. Martial's in the central position here. You've got Bruno that's available for a pass, and then what you then start to see is Paul Pogba making a run for the 1-2. He doesn't get the 1-2. Greenwood plays the ball into Martial, who's now dragged two players in towards him. This is the pattern of the play, because you're still going to have AWB hugging the touchline, which is going to keep the fullback occupied, which is now going to create some space for Greenwood to run into. At the same time, Martial receiving the ball in the edge of the box is dangerous, and two centre-backs have been drawn to him. Pogba is also making a run. As Pogba makes this run and Martial holds the ball up, Pogba brings in the midfielder with him, okay, because he's going to be free if he doesn't. And this gives Greenwood the opportunity to run into the space that he does through the middle. But Greenwood then comes short. He then picks the ball up. Another 1-2 with Anthony Martial. You've still got AWB keeping himself out wide on the right-hand side, keeping the fullback occupied in relation to that. The ball's now back with Martial. You get a bit of luck, which you sometimes need, that the West Ham two players have been suckered into the ball. Pogba's still making his movement. Greenwood's now done his. Greenwood's marker is now the wrong side of him because of the movement and the style and the pattern of which we've moved, that opens up the opportunity for him to put his foot back, shoot, bang, and score. And there's a player that then tries to close Greenwood down. Why was he too far away from Greenwood to make the closing down? Because of that run from Paul Pogba in the middle. So you have a pattern of play in terms of the movement and the pattern and the shape of people. Was that instructed? Well, according to interviews I've seen with the Rashfords of this world, is they work on a lot of these combinations in training and they're instructed to do it by Ollie. There is an element of freestyle in it where he doesn't want to be too controlling. Where has he learned that from? Go back and read things that Fergie said about Rooney, Ronaldo and Tevez partnership. They let them practice things in training, but there was no set subscribed way that he wanted them to play. It was interchangeable, and there was an element of freestyle because they had the technical ability to be able to do that. And Man United have some of that. So that's my subjective view on that pattern of play. And you can see it. And if you watch it, it's there. Now, you may say, Ollie had nothing to do with that. It's just them freestyling. But what if I told you what the majority of managers say when they have overly gifted creative players at the front. They allow them to practice those things in training, and they give them that empowerment to make those decisions within game. That's quite normal. It's about educating yourself on things, mate, as opposed to anything else. I thought I'd answer your question there, ITS. Thank you. Listen, everyone who's tuned in this morning, thank you very, very much as always. A big shout out there to man like Gosh for becoming a first team member of the Football Terrace. It makes a lot for us. ITS says, stop freestyling your explanation. Well, bruv, you asked me to freestyle on the spot. I didn't plan an answer. I wasn't sitting there scripting it last night. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care of yourselves. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye. Cheers, gents.